Here today to share her viewpoint of family prayer, please welcome our Religious Education Director at St. Pius, the lady with a contagious smile, Corina Moore.
Thank you. Oh, that works great. All right. Thank you for inviting me to be here. It's really quite an honor. And I am going to speak about family prayer, but I'm coming at it from a little bit of a different angle than I did last year. And speaking more to, I kind of think the parents as leaders in the family. And with that, I'll go ahead and get started. Does that sound going to be okay? Let me try over here. Not good? Is it okay here? Because I can probably do it without it. Okay. Okay, that sounds great. And I'll put up my title here, The Road to Personal Transformation. For myself, as I'm sure with all of you, whether you have families or not, whether you've had children, they moved out of the home, prayer is such an important part of our renewal every day. And so in putting this together, just so you know, that's kind of where I came from. As a parent, in our workplace, as a leader, and just an individual in their day. For myself, I've lived both without prayer in my life and with prayer, and it's really quite phenomenal, the difference and the significance when we really make sure that we're praying every day. And as far as I'm concerned, it's really brings to us then that personal transformation every day that's so important in our lives. And I call this just leading from quiet. To be able to show up with joy and energy in my daily life, I must experience an ongoing inner transformation that renews and refreshes me for the challenges of the day. I think that's so vital to our living and so true. It is important that we recognize that there are certain transformations that occur in the heart that only get done in the quiet. Neglect these, and your life and your performance can go flat. One of the things that we talk about, once a month I get together with religious ed teachers that I have, and this is one of the things that we talk about. What are we doing for our own life and our own transformation? I think it's quite a job every day to wake up and present yourself to the world as a Christian. It's quite an obligation, I think, because it requires that renewal, and it requires a certain person, when we claim that Christianity, I think, to be to the world, and it requires contribution. And so with that, I think without a doubt it requires renewal, even if it's just a couple of minutes a day for some of us, and sometimes that's what we can do. Be still and know that I am God. I absolutely love that. Most of man's greatest problems stem from his inability to sit quietly alone in a room. Have you guys ever heard that before? Heard that quote? All right, most of man's greatest problems stem from his inability to sit quietly alone in the room. I believe that when this person said this, he was actually speaking from a secular point of view. But I loved it so much, I put it up on the presentation because I think that's so true. And really, that's where it's at, I think, for us. And again, I think for all of us, if we were to answer or think about that day that we've had, that seems maybe hectic, it seems a little overwhelming, we can ask ourselves, did I pray today? The men who have done the most for God in this world have been early on their knees. If God is not first in our thoughts and efforts in the morning, he will be in the last place the remainder of the day. About probably 12 years ago, I was reading a book by an author, Marianne Williamson, and some of you might be familiar with her. And in that book, she said one of the most profound things that I've ever heard somebody say. And she was speaking to the fact that the problem is that we get off of our knees after we pray. And I thought, what a beautiful thing to say. And her point with that is we shouldn't. We should wake in the morning and get on our knees. And our day then should be a prayer, in a sense. Why do we ever get off of our knees? Rather, but praying, is living. Prayer wonderfully clears the vision, steadies the nerves, defines duty, stiffens the purpose, sweetens, and strengthens the spirit. Prayer transforms so that we might once again find our true face and authentic voice. For myself, I just find that to be so true. I think that, again, for parents and in a family, outside of a family, in a leadership position, teaching, whatever it is that you're doing, I think that it's so easy, especially today, to get caught up in our secular world. Think of what we're inundated with. We wake up in the morning, and if we turn on the TV, what we are bombarded with, it's really quite phenomenal. And I think the media does a very good job of presenting us the illusion as to the world and what's out there. But unfortunately, if we feed ourselves that illusion enough, we start to believe it, and we start to live it. And as a result, we live in fear. And we let it transform us. The news that's out there, the secular world. And another reason that I think that prayer is so important is that we find that authentic self in that prayer. We remember when we're on our knees who we are and why we're here. And then we're able to go out and maintain that dignity, maintain that faith, and maintain that face. Prayer puts us next to God, next to divine truth, beauty, and goodness. The proximity, when sustained and done with great commitment, works a radical change. God's truth speaks to our mind, and new meanings are found. God's beauty washes over our soul. God's goodness sets before us a model of holiness, the perfection of charity. And again, it transforms. The beautiful thing about God is He gave us this gift of free will. And we have the free will, whether we respond to God or not. And one of the ways that I believe we respond to God is in prayer. And in that prayer, that transformation can happen, and that relationship with God maintains itself. And the clarity of why we're here and who we are here to serve maintains itself. And as a result, transforms us every day. So with our prayer, we really are born again every day. We're born anew. Prayer fills our cup so much that it spills over. With hearts full and content, our goodness can flow over into the lives of others. I think that's vital to Christian leadership, Christian living, Christian parenting, Christian relationships, everything and everybody that we touch. Already with my son James, who's 7, and sometimes he looks at me bewildered. He has no clue what it is I'm talking about. I can see that, but I'm going to keep saying it. That in order, James, for you to really give, I truly believe this, your cup has to be full.